Whether you like big knives or little knives, you'd think we'd all be able to get along. But oh no. If there's anything we've learned from the comment section below these videos, it's that blade length can be a very divisive subject. So let's talk about what makes the ideal blade length. Hey everyone, David C. Anderson from the KnifeCenter. Welcome to Knife AQ episode 206 of the Knife series where I answer your questions, sharp or dull. That's Thomas behind the camera as usual. And first question today, which is pulled from our comments section, comes from Single Christian Cowboy. Knife AQ question: seems that the vast majority of folders have blades 3 inches or less in length. I understand that some freedom-hating states have laws against longer blades, as well as other nonsensical discrimination against features. Granted, there are not a few offerings with blades in excess of 3 inches. I prefer 3.5 inch or more blades. Just wonder if the 3 inch and sub 3 inch proliferation is on account of merely catering to nonsensical laws, or if it's just some wonder magic bullet size that most prefer. There are certainly areas where a 3 inch blade length limit is, the code, so to speak. But I don't think that's the only reason 3 inch blades are as popular as they tend to be. I think for many folks, it's kind of just plain right. I kind of, we get this in the comments section occasionally. I tend to kind of just like, whatever, move on. Not to be dismissive, but folks who say, I wish this trend of small and mini knives would just go away. We need big knives again. I hate to break it to some of those folks, but smaller knives, or pocket knives anyway, are more the norm than modern big knives, in my opinion. And just take a look at the old school pocket knives that were carried by previous generations, like this case slip joint right here. Most of these knives that did most, everyday cutting tasks, not talking tactical knives or combat knives or camping or bushcraft or anything like that, just everyday folding pocket knives. This one is actually on the larger side, and it's got a 2 3/4 inch main blade. It's got 2 more blades as well. This is the yellow bone sow belly right here, which I need to buy. I keep saying this every time we pull it out, and I don't buy one, but I need to buy one. Maybe that's why I keep showing this as an example, because I'm mooning after it, and for some reason I just have not bought one yet. But a 3 inch blade, or even less in some cases, can just get a lot of stuff done. The other thing that I like about kind of the, this 3 inch blade is sort of a Goldilocks size, is you can go both ways with it. You can make a smaller knife with a 3 inch blade that feels good, as well as a bigger knife with a 3 inch blade, or a knife that can cut beyond what you might think a 3 inch blade could. The Drop Bear from Kaiser is a perfect example of that. 3 inch blade, but it's broad. It's got enough girth and length in the handle that this feels like a full-sized knife, even though it's a quote-unquote, even though it's a sub 3 inch blade. Contrast that with something like the CJRB Rhea, also a 3 inch blade. Sharpened edge is more or less the same. You get a tiny bit more with the Kaiser, but that's variances in how they are ground. The Rhea follows, is much more akin to like classically sized slip joint knives right here. So you can do a lot with that. You can do even more than a 3 inch length would lead you to think with a knife like the Drop Bear. Just plain works, and it's adaptable and versatile in my opinion. Now, this is not me saying I don't like big knives, because I do. The Manix 2XL from Spyderco is a particularly excellent feeling example. But why are you gonna get mad at people for using just the right tool for what they need? I don't know. Maybe I'm a little too salty about that in this case.
Point, you don't have to buy just one knife.
That is also true. I thought you were gonna say you may be missing the point and then point to the tip of the knife.
No, I figured we're a knife retailer. We might as well tell people to buy lots of knives.
There you go. Sure.
I need to get paid too, man.
That's true. This is true. For a lot of folks, I think a 3 inch blade is great, and it's an easy size to recommend. If you want a bigger knife, go forth, get a bigger knife. But for the folks that are saying, I wish there weren't so many knives coming out on the quote unquote smaller side, that's because that's what sells more than bigger knives. Bigger knives sell too, but
that'll happen when they can sell in more jurisdictions.
also true. Also true. But anyway, all that is to say, what is your preferred blade length? Me, these days I'm kind of a 3 to 3 1/4 inch blade in that general vicinity, provided, it's something with a little bit more kind of, stronger backbone in the handle that lets it feel a little bigger when you need it to. That does most of what I need on a day-to-day basis. And when we're talking just day-to-day use, sure, you can be over-prepared, and that's not a bad thing, but I often have larger knives within very quick access too. So what do you guys like? 3-inch blade, 3.5, 4-inch, 2.5, or anything in between? Let us know in the comments, please and thank you. Next question comes from Deceptive Panther.
What are you up to?
I'm going to read it, see if there's any subtext in this question you're asking. How about the most influential knives from the time when you started the channel? That's an interesting one. So I started doing videos here in 2018, which is longer ago than it feels like it should be. I've got one really cool example here that I think illustrates how much has happened in this last, what's the math there? Under 7 years from because I started the tail end of 2018 doing videos. So in less than 7 years, the budget knife landscape has changed dramatically. And this knife right here perfectly illustrates where things were. That is the Kershaw Natrix. This is a knife that was utterly dominant in enthusiast budget knife circles in 2018 and before. You could get them in assisted or manual versions with KVT ball bearings. 3 1/4 inch blade on the standard versions. Prices on them ranged, actually I don't remember exactly where the original prices ranged. This one right now is on sale for about $33, but regular prices, 48 or so. I want to say when they were originally out, they were around the $40 to $45 mark, if I'm remembering correctly. But this knife is in some ways a bit more complex than some of the modern budget space provides, or at least the example I'm going to show you here that sort of supplanted this in the minds of folks looking for budget knives. For one thing, you've got the sub frame lock here at the back, which is, a custom frame lock basically here. It's just the locking bar. It allows you to get the handle material all the way on the back instead of a more typical frame lock design such as, well, this one has some handle material on the back too, but you know what I'm talking about, I think. You've got like custom pivot hardware, stuff like that. And Steelwise 8CR13 MOV, which was pretty standard in the budget knife realm at the time. 3 1/4 inch blade on this, real cool design. What happened shortly after that time was the influx of brands like Civivi. Not exclusively Civivi, but Civivi is kind of the poster child for doing budget knives in a different way than the Natrix did. Pretty much, this is the Elementum right here. It's about a $50 knife these days. This one's $50.15 to be exact. 3-inch drop point blade. And instead of, more complicated, cooler stuff on the handles, they went with simpler handles. All of the Civivis at the time were pretty much made like this, and many of them still are. You've got liners, you've got simple slab G10 for the handles, you've got ball bearings in the pivot. So simpler handle construction, simpler engineering, so to speak, in how that's made, but upgraded blade steel. D2 was the standard on pretty much all Civivis for a long time. They did some other stuff too, but like D2, by concentrating the dollars into the blade material rather than, a more complex handle, you're getting more performance for your dollar with a knife like this. And this right here, these two knives, I think perfectly encapsulate what was different 7 years ago versus right now in terms of affordable knives. Maybe this is cooler, but this is more powerful. I don't know. How would you folks go about it? What do you think? I don't know, but that is a cool comparison and a different time.
I remember a lot of pocket cleavers back then.
Pocket cleavers were certainly more popular there for a while, yeah, for sure.
And then gone.
And then we still see some, but definitely not the. That was a trend for sure heading around. Anyway, that is something that like people have just kind of forgotten about the Natrix. It doesn't really get talked about anymore. So being talked about today. Actually, really at the price it's on its on sale price right now of $32.95 for this manual version. It's actually pretty heck of a good deal, I think. Anyway, now we come to Damyr's Buried Treasure, and this is going to be the final installment of Damyr's Buried Treasure.
Yeah.
Where thanks to his question nearly 26 weeks ago, or whatever numbers of letters in the alphabet, we've been going through the alphabet and showing a brand we've never shown on the channel before, and today is XYZ. And I'm combining them all because we've shown all the X's, we've shown all the Z's, and we've shown almost all the Y's. There's a Whetstone brand under Y, and there's this brand under Y that we're going to show. The brand is Yshoot, Y-S-H-O-O-T, one word. And this right here beside me is the product. It is a carbon fiber walking cane. It is called the Yshoot Sport, that's the brand, sorry. The ARC Carbon Fiber Pygmy Bow Walking Stick with Bow and Arrows Complete Set, ART0092. This is a $200 walking stick because inside this carbon fiber walking stick is a bow and arrow. Well, a bow and arrows. It is a survival item, and I'm not going to be able to completely put it together here in the studio because, quite frankly, we don't have the space. But we do have some images we can pop up on the screen. But we unscrew the top right here, if it will let me. There we go. And on the inside, here are the elements that build it. You got 2 arrows. You've got the bow stave as well. This little bit that I unscrewed from the top of the handle, or the top of the carbon fiber shaft there. This is going to form the handle with which you shoot the arrows. It's really cool. I've never tried it, but actually it's discontinued right now. We only have a handful left, so if you want one
just in time from
us, now is the time. Kind of makes me want to get one and mess around with it because I like bow and arrows.
Your neighbors will love it.
Yeah, they're fine. I got 3 acres. It'll be all right. What should we do next? What should we replace Damyr's Buried Treasure segment with? If anything, let us know in the comments. Now we come to the lightning round for today. First questions from Addison Talks. I'm interested in trying a knife with a crown spine, but it seems to be most common on Italian knives, $200 plus, or American knives, $400 plus from what I've seen. Are there any good budget options? Yes, the one that comes immediately to mind is the CRKT Padawan. 2 blade shapes. I like this vaguely Nesmucky version right here, but there's a modified Wharncliffe available as well. These are about $68. And they kind of feel like more. Like it's one of those where you feel like you're getting a fancier knife than the price tag would suggest. 3.01 inch blade. Shucks. Sandvik 14C28 and steel, stainless steel frame lock with micarta accents, and a gently crowned and polished spine right there that just looks really good. And if you've never experienced a crown spine on the knife before, is it a functionally essential item? No, absolutely not. But it's just nice. It feels good. It looks more interesting than just a flat spine, and it feels elevated. It feels a little bit more luxurious or a little bit more advanced. And that's a cool thing. Check out the Padawan. That would be my recommendation. Next question's from Cass Shields 5106. I'd like a good crossbar action knife that doesn't have ball bearings in the pivot. I work in a sawmill and it's heck trying to keep the pivots clean with all the fine sawdust. With bearings, I'm saying. Any recommendations? I currently carry a Milwaukee Fastback for work for this very reason. Yeah, take a look at Benchmade and Hogue are kind of the 2 brands I would look at. They're considerably more expensive than the utility knife you mentioned, but I don't know of any kind of budget brands doing washers instead of ball bearings in their crossbar locks. But the Griptilian from Benchmade is a classic option for something like this. $160 S30V steel with this modified sheep's foot profile, which make a great utilitarian profile. Injection molded handles, the axis lock, giving you that action, which is quite nice. Or for less money, you get a slightly smaller knife, but the Hogue Deca with this nice utilitarian modified Wharncliffe or reverse Tonto blade. This is about $140 for the injection molded versions with a MagnaCut blade. So really, really cool, well-rounded stainless steel right there. You can get the G10 versions, the KnifeCenter exclusive, comes with MagnaCut as well. That's 20, 30 bucks more than that. Check those guys out and be happy. Now we come to our final question of the day, which is, of course, our most seriousest question of the day, which comes from Mogoku Mail. I'm an astronaut. Really?
I mean, they got internet up there.
What would be a good space station knife? I'm especially worried about puncturing my spacesuit. I'm less worried about freaking out my colleagues since HR is back on Earth mostly. Must be able to handle vacuum, freezing temperatures, accidental time warps, and space-time ripples. And I need to use gloves. If you put this in the most serious question of the day, I'm gonna be disappointed. I really am an astronaut. Edit, I spelled vacuum wrong. I'm still an astronaut. Edit 2, I must also be able to use it upside down.
There is no upside down up there.
That is true. Haha. But that does bring us neatly to what you won't be able to use. And gravity knives are out, obviously. What you need, since you mentioned time warps and space-time ripples, and worry about puncturing your suit, I can think of no better option than the Bestech TARDIS right here. This is going to shield you from the space-time continuum disruptions you're talking about, and you've got a blunted, cleaver-esque style blade here without a sharp tip, and yet MagnaCut steel and a very sharp edge on this KnifeCenter exclusive as well. 95 bucks for this knife. Check that out.
It being a TARDIS, though, it may not cut what you're expecting to.
But it'll cut exactly what you need it to cut. That is all we have for today, folks. Keep your questions coming. Keep your most seriousest questions coming as well. I need some more of those. Let me see what you got. If you want to get your hands on any of these knives, there's going to be links in the description, which will take you to KnifeCenter.com. Let us know if you've got any alternate answers to the questions. Let us know your preferred blade lengths down below. I want to hear from you. While you're over at the site, don't forget about our long-running Knife Rewards program, as well as our Sezzle payment options we've recently added, letting you split more expensive knives up into more manageable chunks if you wish. I'm David C. Anderson from the KnifeCenter. That's Thomas behind the camera. We are signing off. See you next time.